Scott, the Bucs suffered their first loss of the season tonight against the Eagles. Going into this game, there was a lot of talk about that Eagles defense. A lot of physicality, more so on the Eagles side. What can you say about that part of the game and how that sort of went towards Philly's side?
Yeah, Todd Bowles said it best. The Eagles were the more physical team on both sides of the ball. This was trench warfare, and the Eagles won that on both sides. Their defensive front gave Baker Mayfield some problems. The Bucs couldn't run the ball, just 41 yards rushing on the game. They ended up getting a safety on defense when the Buccaneers were backed up at their 1 yard line after a D. Delaney interception in the second half. So even that defensive line scored some points for the Eagles tonight. It just was not enough, as the Eagles had 472 yards of offense, controlled the time of possession almost 2-1, and the Buccaneers offense never got going except for a garbage time touchdown with Mike Evans catching it. He dropped an earlier touchdown, Karen, that would have given them some momentum in the first half, but just 174 yards for the Buccaneers. Simply not enough offense when you're looking at trying to upset the defending NFC champions.
So the Bucs offense took strides forward from week 1 to week 2, but seemed to have a step back here, going back to that Vikings and another slow start. And Baker Mayfield talked about that after the game. What did you see offensively that was maybe their struggles early on that got them behind and playing catch up?
You know, I think Baker kind of alluded to it a little bit. This was Monday Night Football. The Bucs should have been fired up to come out and be the more physical team. They did not rise to the occasion. The Eagles, after a 10-day break, acted like a well-rested, well-prepared team and came out here and kind of got back to Eagles' brand of football, which is more dominant. This game was actually not even as close as the 25-11 score would indicate. This was a game that really, Philly ended the game inside the Bucs red zone and kind of, kneeled down in mercy, but it could have been a lot difference on the scoreboard than it was. I didn't think at any point in time the Buccaneers really challenged. They had a chance right before halftime, but Baker Mayfield threw his first interception of the season. It was the Bucs' first turnover. And then after getting it right back on a Devin White interception that maybe he could have returned for a pick six if he didn't have that groin injury. He was kind of gutting it out with that injured groin. Well, Rachaad White turns it right back over, and the Eagles regained some momentum right before halftime, and it just didn't happen for Tampa Bay's offense at all in the second half.
So the Bucs had the 2 turnovers, their first of the season, as you mentioned. The defense got 2 takeaways, but then you're breaking even. We talked about, how crucial turnover differential is, and it's good that the Bucs defense got those 2 takeaways, but then they weren't able to do anything with it.
Exactly. Let's not sugarcoat it. Tampa Bay's margin for error this year is really slim. The Buccaneers are not the most talented team this year, and certainly not tonight, as the Eagles were. They're the defending NFC champions for that reason, because of that talent. Tampa Bay in week 1 beat Minnesota by 3 points despite having a 3-0 turnover margin advantage. Usually when that happens, Karen, you're looking at a blowout.
Yeah.
And even in the last week's game against the Bears, they win by 10 points, and they protect the ball well, and they have a 2-0 turnover advantage, but it only translates into a 10-point win. So Tampa Bay is going to have to continue to grab more takeaways than they're giving the ball up on a weekly basis for them to win. And now you're looking at a short week against the division opponent at New Orleans. This is right before the bye week. And yes, Derek Carr, the quarterback for the Saints, might be out of this game. Jameis Winston might get the start because of the injury to that throwing shoulder that he suffered against Green Bay. But Karen, now Jamel Dean has a shoulder injury of his own, and Carlton Davis didn't play with that toe injury that's been slow to recover. So Tampa Bay may be down their 2 top starting cornerbacks for a big division game at New Orleans this week.
Yeah, definitely some injuries to keep an eye on going forward on the short week, as you mentioned. Scott, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.